Hello, lovelies! Welcome back to another episode of Wedding Wednesday Q&A, where we answer your wedding questions. If in case you haven't noticed, we have remastered old podcasts and old episodes. We have added new videos, new music, new background, just to make sure that 2022 feels fresh for all of us. Now, going back to today's question. Today's question is from Shelly, and she asks, is a backyard wedding cheap? Oh yes, Shelly, this is such a great question, which is why today we're discussing if a backyard wedding is indeed a cheaper option than an actual wedding venue. We are sharing 4 things that will help you for your specific circumstance to determine if a backyard wedding is indeed going to save you some money. First on the list is to consider space and event management cost. Is your backyard even event ready? Meaning there are things that you might want to consider and look at your backyard and think for yourself. Is this backyard ready to hold guests, ready to serve food, ready for a place for people to lounge and mingle? One thing that comes to mind is, do you have flooring? So depending on the vibe that you're going for, it might be very helpful to have flooring to ensure that guests can walk easily, especially if you're getting married towards the spring or the fall season where there is a higher chance of rain. If it's only soil in your backyard, that's a high risk that the shoes of your guests might sink, and that's not going to be very good and enjoyable or even convenient for your guests. Of course, there are some rentals that can provide you with a flooring. Usually if you rent a tent with that, which most likely something you'll have to consider as well, the tent and the flooring usually go together. That is going to be a significant amount of money in terms of rental. Now, you're also most likely to serve food, regardless if you are only doing a cocktail reception style or a full dinner. You or your caterer will still need a place to prep the food. Prep it, cook it, serve it, clean, put that away, the utensils, all the rentals, the garbage even. You're going to need a place to hold all those. Now, if where you live have space for that, if your backyard has a specific area that can hold that, then that's great. You're definitely going to be benefiting from having a backyard wedding because you have all these things. But if you don't, you're most likely going to have to allocate a space or rent another area where that can be done. Another thing is you might want to consider ready-made food instead that you heat up and serve. If that's something that you're okay with, then that's absolutely fine. But if you want fresh food that's served, that's cooked at the very moment, that's going to require a prep area. Now let's talk about alcohol. You are most likely going to serve alcohol. Depending on how many people and how much alcohol you are serving, you're most likely going to need a permit for that. Not only the permit for the alcohol, but also permit to have a party. Depending on the zone that you're in, there are zoning areas where some people probably are going to get fined if there's noise disturbances. So these things are something that you're also going to have to consider. You're probably going to want a little more dancing, a little, a louder music, some type of party going on for your wedding, of course. And that's going to create some type of noise. Now, you might want to clear that where your local government is and check to see what permits are needed so that you won't get fined or you won't get shut down in the middle of your party. I'm also just going to touch up again on the discussion about the tent and the flooring. Now, I did mention earlier that you will most likely want a flooring if you're getting married somewhat in the spring, fall season. But a tent, however, if you're getting married in the middle of summer, you're still going to want to have some type of cover or shed or just a shield that exists there that is built to help combat that heat. That's going to be extreme heat. And just so you and your guests are comfortable, you don't want to have direct sunlight right to your face, right? So having that tent can help you really, not just with rain, but also just with the sun in general. Now, I don't know a lot of people that love bugs because I certainly hate them with a passion. And if you're doing anything outdoor, not just wedding, but as you know, when you go out, you might want to have something in terms of pest control. regardless of how that looks like. Maybe for you, you can use citronella candles that can double as decor and line them up around your table or around the backyard just to make sure that you fight off some bugs, because people are going to be eating, people are going to be mingling, they're going to be opening their mouth, and the last thing that they want is to have a bug flying in. So, and this had happened before, even at a venue where we've done weddings where there are some outdoor activities. It might not necessarily mean the whole wedding, but even outdoor activities like cocktail hour, where there was not enough pest control, there was not enough bug control, I'd say, and there was so much bugs flying around, especially if you have trees, if you have plants around, that's going to be a breeding ground for bugs. And so having that pest control will help not just your guests, but especially for you. I mean, do you really want to be itching and scratching right underneath that beautiful wedding dress because a bug kind of flew in, right? Like, we want to avoid those things. So having pest control in place, however that looks like for you, again, those citronella candles, you can use those. Even those little things that you can hang that's supposed to fight off bugs, that's also a good option. But having this in place and thinking about that will really help you and your guests feel more comfortable. Something to consider as well, I think I've also mentioned this briefly earlier when we were talking about prep areas, is a garbage sorting or garbage storing, however that looks like for you, because there's going to be a lot of food that's left over. If you have multiple courses or you're going to serve a lot of things, garbage is going to accumulate after 30 people quite quickly. Now, of course, this is a wedding, so you don't want to have just, a garbage bin lying around. You might want to have a place specifically for that to be stored, to be sorted, again, however that looks like for where you live. But that's something that you also have to consider. Another thing on top of that is, if you're getting married, say, for example, on a Saturday, and you have this, garbage accumulated from the wedding, and garbage day is not till Wednesday, that means all those garbage is going to be in your backyard, in your house, again, however that looks like for you. Now, if you're okay with that, then sure. But if you can make other arrangements in where you can toss those things out, then I think that'll be better. Now, we just went over the first thing, which is space and event management costs, and that covered basically what we just discussed. And if you look at those things, that already add up so much, like thousands and thousands of dollars, just those things alone. Now, we are still going through the next points that you're going to consider, but we just wanted to point out that those things are real costs that can add up easily. So even for the first point, it seems like a backyard wedding is not that cheap after all. And another thing to consider is power and lighting. Now, this is not just, on any day where you hang out in the backyard, which means you're most likely going to need more lighting, a sound system, again, the pest control that we spoke about earlier. And if it's a little chilly outside, depending on when you're getting married, depending on the season, you might want to plug in a few outdoor heaters as well. So all these things add up to an extra electrical requirement. You might want to speak to an electrician or someone in your household that knows the capacity that you currently have. Because if you're going to plug in extra things, even for your caterer might want to bring in an extra oven, an extra microwave, or however that looks like for them. That's something that you're still going to have to consider, and you're going to have to add on to your costs, speaking to an electrician, them building something for you to support this load that's going to be brought on for your wedding. So again, another cost. This is something that you're going to have to look at and see if this is actually worth it, or is it going to save you more money. Even hiring a band, say for example, they're still going to need to plug in their speakers, their piano, their electric guitar, again, however that looks like. That's still extra power needed. So make sure you speak to the vendors that you're going to have and ask them what their requirements are in terms of plugging in, because obviously you don't want any risk of fire or shorting happening at your wedding. Now let's move on to parking. If you're having at least 30 guests, or maybe maximum 30 guests at your wedding, then that's going to be about 8 to 10 cars, as some of them are couples. They would want to drive there. Unless you tell them beforehand, they can probably Uber their way there, or you can also support an Uber events for them so they can be picked up and dropped off accordingly. But if some of them would want to drive themselves, where are they going to park? Is there a permit needed to park on the street? What are the hours that are paid parking? What are the hours that they're okay to park and that they can stay overnight? If, say, for example, they get a little bit drunk and they park there overnight. So just these things, make sure you account for these things because you don't want them getting a ticket parking there. So just make sure that you also think about the parking for your guests. Now, last on the list is about the bathrooms. And this might seem to have like a very straightforward solution, which is to rent portable washrooms, which is somewhat true, but the cost of this rental will add up easily because you're also going to want to maintain that washroom and have some tissue, some hand soaps, and also this will take up space. Now, do you have space in your backyard to hold maybe 2 portable restrooms, even just one? Do you want your guest's bathroom? Will that really give them a great experience if they're outdoor in your backyard? You can also, of course, let them in and let them use your own bathroom. I'm just not sure if one bathroom is enough. Now, usually for at least 16 to 30 people, maybe 15 to 30 people, there has to be at least 2 toilets if 2 people wanted to go at the same time. You also don't want them lining up by the door, right? Like 3 people wanted to pee and there's only one bathroom in the ground floor, say for example, if again, depending on your living circumstance, there's only one bathroom that's easily accessible to everyone, but there's going to be about 30 people. That's not going to be enough. You can have a portable bathroom and your indoor bathroom, but is that really a good experience for everyone? Also, people probably won't want to line up for the portable bathroom unless really necessary if they can wait for the indoor bathroom, which really then, why did you rent that portable bathroom if they're all going to line up for the indoor bathroom anyways, if you get my drift? So that's something that you would want to consider. And renting a portable bathroom isn't all that cheap as well. So again, this is an additional cost that you might want to look at to see if you're really saving money having a backyard wedding. Before we end this episode, we are leaving you with something to think about. The cost of planning a backyard wedding will easily add up. If all the things that we've discussed earlier are readily available and accessible to you, then sure, you're most likely going to be able to save money planning a backyard wedding. Now, if you don't have them accessible and you're going to have to rent it out, source it out, or even build it, then that's going to be a lot of additional costs that you probably did not foresee in the beginning of planning your backyard wedding. What we suggest is to still ask quotes from venues. That way you do have a price comparison. If you're really working with a tight budget, you can consider asking around for restaurants and see how much it'll cost to buy them out, especially the ones that have a patio, since you're looking more of an outdoor wedding, I'm assuming, if you are planning a backyard wedding. Usually restaurants can be bought out at a minimum amount. So depending on the day that you're getting married, if you're not so stuck on a Saturday, you can try maybe a Friday night or a brunch or even Sunday. Most restaurants are open to having bought out with a minimum amount. Also, restaurants usually have great food and great in-house catering. Not only that, they probably also have their own DJ and band readily available for you to hire. So a lot of the things that you're looking to outsource, if you book out a restaurant or you buy them out, they're already there. You're just going to have to coordinate with your event coordinator, which again, another thing for you is that you're not going to have to hire someone and outsource it. You can, of course, if you want additional help, but for the most part, there is an event coordinator readily available for you from the restaurant to help you out on the day of your wedding. To officially end this episode and to also officially answer the question, is a backyard wedding cheap? My answer is definitely no. There might be situations that it might sound like it is a little bit cheaper than having a venue. If you are a DIY newlywed to be, then for sure there's probably a lot of things that you can play around if you do have a backyard wedding. But if you don't want to worry about a lot of things, logistics, decor, all these little details, definitely buy out a restaurant or rent a smaller studio in where all the things are readily available. There are studios as well that you can rent out that have in-house tables, in-house chairs, in-house prep areas, in-house kitchen, in-house washroom. But it's also at a fraction of the cost of that of a big venue. So always check out there and compare your pricing. Again, consider the things that we've discussed today because there is a potential that your backyard is event ready and that will save you money. But for the most part, if it's not, then the answer is no, it's not going to save you money. So let us know what you think. Leave comments below. We'd love to hear from you. And before you go, don't forget to download your free wedding planning kit linked in the description below. As usual, we're here to inspire you to celebrate life and love. Until next time, lovelies, bye!